Welcome to Modern Entrepreneur. I'm Landon Ray, and today I have Ryan Levesque, who is an Inc. 500 company CEO and author of the #1 best-selling book, Ask, featured by Inc. magazine as the #1 marketing book of the year, and by Entrepreneur magazine as the #2 must-read book for budding entrepreneurs. He's used the Ask method to build multi-million-dollar businesses in 23 industries, generating over $100 million in sales in the process. He's also the co-founder of Bucket.io, the segmentation funnel software that entrepreneurs are using to implement the Ask method in their business. Thank you so much for being here.
Landon, it's awesome to be here.
Yeah. So you've had a lot of success. I remember you kind of just getting started in this industry. It feels like just yesterday, but I feel like it was maybe longer than that, like 3, 4, 5 years ago even. How long ago was it that you really kind of kicked off this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I came into this world of building online businesses back in 2008.
Oh, so it's been a little longer, 9 years.
And that's when I first started in kind of obscure niche markets, basically just working for myself. And I was, unknown, hiding behind a computer screen. I built a little business in the orchid care market and the Scrabble tile jewelry market, and then kind of had some success in all these weird markets, and eventually translated that into teaching this methodology that's come to be known as the Ask method, which I've used to enter all those different markets.
Yeah. So, so you have been working on this stuff for a while now. You've gone through building your own business in these niche industries, and then reinventing yourself as an educator. If you could go back and give your 2008 self a piece of advice based on what your experience has been so far that would make it easier, or more effective, or whatever, faster, what would it be?
It's a question I'm asked all the time, and it's usually phrased differently. It's, what would you do different? And the thing that I would do different is I'd hire faster. I'll tell you, Landon, I hung on to so many things because my wife and I, we started our business together, and it just felt like we didn't have an extra $1,000 to spare or $500 to spare or whatever it was. And so, we were packaging books, putting stamps on, driving it to the post office far longer than I care to admit. So that's the biggest mistake
like
that I made.
since last week.
Yeah, exactly. Is hire faster. And every time that I've hired, I don't know if you can speak to this as well, but every time I've hired, it's resulted in a big leap forward in our business and taking something off of my plate and putting on someone else's.
Yeah. And so how big is your team at this point?
We have, across both companies, we have 2 companies mainly now. So we have our Ask Method company, which is our training and education company. That's the book, and we have education programs. We teach the marketing methodology. And then we have a software company, Bucket, which is technology to implement that. So across both companies, we're about 55 between the 2.
So it's really grown.
It's
quickly.
grown. Yeah, it's grown. I mean, it was, 4 years ago, it was me, my wife, and an assistant.
Yeah.
So when it grows, it happens.
Yeah, it really
and you've experienced the same growth. It happens fast.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're thinking about hiring that first person, who is that? What do they do?
Yeah, it's an assistant. It's someone who is kind of like a virtual assistant. If you have an online business, there's just a multitude of things you need to do: uploading stuff to Facebook, uploading blog posts, queuing up emails, spell checking things. If you do any travel or anything like that, just helping with all that sort of thing. So you want a jack of all trades person who's kind of really detail oriented. Most entrepreneurs are sort of visionary, high on quick start on Colby. So like we're really good at starting things, and we need someone else to kind of clean up our mess. So someone who's really high on follow through, I found is really important, and someone who is able to kind of be a jack of all trades on all these kind of small tasks.
Right, and that allows, because a lot of people will want to start by hiring, like outsourcing big parts of their business, like somebody to do my marketing, or somebody to do sales or something like that. But by hiring an assistant, you're kind of keeping the high level stuff for yourself.
Totally. I mean, the exercise you want to go through is you look at your week, and you basically look at the hours you're spending on different tasks, and then you ascribe dollar values to that task. So for example, if you're taking out your own garbage, or you're shoveling the driveway, ask yourself, okay, how much would it cost me to pay someone to do that task? Okay, that was a $15 an hour task. And you just look at all of your tasks and you say, okay, what are the ones that are the lowest dollar value that I don't enjoy doing? So if you love shoveling the snow because you just love that sort of thing, then do it, like whatever. Here we are in Santa Barbara, there's like, snow's like, what? But if you love that sort of thing, do it. But the stuff that's low, and then you pass that over to someone else, and you just work your way up. And so what that allows you to do is you're constantly doing higher and higher dollar value tasks that warrant your time as a, as a budding CEO.
And so what do you feel like your particular unique skill sets are that have had you have the kind of success you've had?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm not good at, right?
Yeah.
And so we run our company now according to the rocket fuel model, which is a model where at the top of all the most successful companies in the world, companies like Apple, you'll see that there's not just one person at the top, there's two. There's a visionary and an integrator. And the visionary is really good at sort of big picture ideas. They tend to be a creative type. They tend to be really good at starting things and kicking off new initiatives, whereas integrators are really good at picking up the pieces, running the day-to-day operations, running meetings, managing projects, that sort of thing. I'm not good at that stuff at all. So that's where I spend my time now, is envisioning new marketing campaigns, envisioning new products. Writing copy is kind of like my secret superpower. So I spend a lot of time writing our highest leverage copy for our most important things, and so that's where I really spend a lot of my time.
Yeah. So interesting that you say that. So I'm, you're a visionary. You say I'm the idea guy. I like to kick stuff off. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who see themselves as idea guys, and but are not fundamentally at a place where they're going to attract a real operator, right? Because operators are not that easy to come by, right? So how do you get to that point, or when is that point that you think? I mean, you're maybe lucky enough to be married to one, but when do you get to that point where you got to actually start, right? You gotta you can't let yourself have the excuse for too long that I'm an idea guy. So somebody pick up the pieces, right? Like you need to get going, but then you need to eventually attract that person. How do you make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge question, right? I'll answer it with a tactical tip that I think is really powerful. So one of the things that I teach in the ask method as a way to build your list, get more leads, and bring people into your world is to use what we call the power of micro commitments, which is instead of when someone lands on your website asking them to provide their name and email address and all this information at once, you ask them to take little baby steps. So you might ask a multiple choice question, before we get started, are you a man or a woman? Or are you just getting started, or are you experienced? Like a very simple low threshold question. And the reason why that works is because it hacks your fear psychology. It hacks an area of the brain known as the amygdala, which is the fear center of your brain, and it allows people to take action by shrinking the size of the step. Okay, so that's a marketing tactic. How do you apply that to yourself from a personal productivity standpoint, or answering your initial question, which is how do you get started? What you do is whenever you're running into some sort of resistance in your business, the thing that you're working on right now, you want to ask yourself this very simple question. What is the next small step I can take that is so small it's literally impossible for me to fail? So whenever you're approaching an area of your business that you're not good at, like for me, it's running meetings, getting things done, managing projects. That's not natural to me. I use this little trick. I just say, okay, how can I move this project forward in the smallest possible way? It's literally impossible for me to fail. So that's a question you can ask yourself whenever you're running into sticking points or areas that you're maybe not good at. So if you're more of the visionary and you're kind of not good at the operator side of things, it's a way to kind of get momentum. And then once you have that action-taking momentum, then you can make progress from there.
So you've grown from, like you said, 2 or 3 people 4 years ago to over 50 now. I mean, this is a little bit of a softball, given that your business is built around a particular tactic. but what's working now in your business to generate business? Where are you getting all these customers? What's the thing of the moment for you?
For sure. And so, there's a quote that's always resonated with me. It's a quote attributed to Bruce Lee, and it's, "Fear not the man who has practiced 1,000 moves once. Fear the man who has practiced one move 1,000 times." And so in business and life, I'm of the belief that you just need one move. You need one thing that you excel at. And if you just do that one thing over and over again, it can tremendously help you. And so my one move comes down to segmentation. So rather than treating people in a one-size-fits-all way, what we do is we put people into buckets. We put people into buckets to tailor the buying experience so that it's better matching what their unique needs, wants, and desires are. And the way we do that is by using quizzes, assessments, and segmentation funnels on the lead generating side of our business. And so that's what we teach people how to do. We have technology that does that, and that's all of my success in the 23 different niche markets that I went into. That was my one move, is when everyone in a pick the market, orchid care, sat satellite television, it didn't matter. Everyone would treat people in a one-size-fits-all way. We'd cut the market up into different segments and approach people in a more tailored, customized way.
So you're driving traffic into these quizzes or assessments, and you're doing that. I think people in your community seem to be doing that in a couple of different ways, either with cold traffic via ads. Also, people are applying that now to Jeff Walker's product launch formula. And I've seen you do both. So, just give us a sense of like what percentage of your business in the last, say, year has come from those two categories of leads.
Yeah, so we have what we describe as the funnel side of our business and the launch side of our business. And philosophically, we like to run our operating expenses on the funnel side of our business. So what that means is we want to have the leads that are coming in and the sales that we generate on an evergreen basis coming in all day, every day. That's kind of the money that we budget around.
And you can count on it.
We can count on it, exactly. It's predictable. You can, if it starts to trail down or up, you can predict it. Launches are very unpredictable, right? If you have a launch for something, I mean, gosh, heaven forbid you launch in the middle of a hurricane or a tragic event, it just could,
or a tech breakdown.
A tech breakdown, anything like that. I mean, there's just so many things that could go wrong, so you're putting too many eggs in that one basket. So we look at that as we use that income to fuel our growth. So if we have a new initiative that we want to take on, then we use that money, we park that money away, and then we use that to reinvest in whatever new product we're creating or new initiative that we want to try or new experiment. And so it's about 50-50 in the business. And so we're in heavy growth investment mode right now. And so we're putting a lot of resources in both. Long term, where I want to be is closer to 90-10. I mean, I'd love to be 90-10 on the funnel side, 10% on launches, and just kind of have that be the cherry on top.
Good. So, you've got a lot of experience under your belt now. We're always, though, learning and growing. What is your kind of learning edge right now? What are you struggling with, trying to figure out? What's the next thing?
Yeah, so for me, it's on the software side of our business. So in Bucket.io, we are in rapid testing mode. So we just recently kicked off an initiative where we built a high-tempo testing team. So what we're doing there, high-tempo testing. So we're doing rapid tests where we have enough data to make changes to the product in a 7-day period. So we'll add something, we'll put something in the onboarding sequence, we'll add a new feature, and we'll see if it moves the needle on our kind of core metric that we look at, which is activating users. And if it does, we'll keep it. If it doesn't, we'll try something else. And so that's a totally new area for me. It's building. It's my first software company that I'm building, and so it's a huge learning and growth opportunity. And it's uncomfortable. And that's when you're doing the right thing, because it's like when it's hard and it doesn't come natural. It's like that's the thing to focus on.
I gotta. I know that there's probably a lot of people who are going to watch this who aren't software folks, but since I am, I just have a question I got to ask about that. Which is that when I think about sort of like split testing, which is what you're talking about, it occurs to me that it takes a certain number of tests to have like some kind of valid, valid results, right? Like to have confidence enough that it's not just random what you experienced. I mean, are you really getting enough signups in a week? I mean, your thing just launched. I'm going to guess that you're not getting enough signups in a week to have what would, like, when we think about it like an email split test, you want hundreds or thousands of tests to even get to 80, 90% confidence. So how are you dealing with that in a sign-up funnel?
So to be clear, this is after people have signed up to use the software and are in the software. So what we're looking at, just like in a marketing funnel, right? So when you're doing any form of split test, you're going to have the most volume, the most traffic at the front of the funnel. And so that's kind of where we are right now. And you're right, the bottleneck is how many users do we have, right? And so we have a few thousand users in the software right now. And so those users are still in the early stages of their experience with the software. So what we're testing are things like their first experience, the first time they log in, the first quiz that they build, the first audience that they build when they connect with Facebook. And so our conversation, how they're connecting their Ontraport account with their Bucket accounts. And so we have a split test on that right now to see if we can improve that experience and get more people to make the connection. So, but we have to test at the very beginning. What we can't test now is someone that has, we don't have enough users that have 1 million leads. So how to get to 1 million to 2 million. We just don't have enough users for that. So just like a marketing funnel, I think the key is starting at the place in the funnel, like you said, where you have enough volume to get those statistically significant conclusions.
Interesting. So Tell me, you have some years yet to go, obviously, in your career. You're a young guy, you got a ways to go. But if you can think through, 20, 30 years down the road and like looking back, like what is this all about? What would you like your legacy to be?
So for me, I went through an exercise once. One of my mentors took me through this. It's a very powerful exercise. And I won't go through it now, but you basically, you imagine you're at the end of your life, kind of like what you're asking right now.
Yeah.
And you imagine you're saying your goodbyes to all the loved ones in your life, and the last person you say goodbye to is a small person in your life. So it can be a child, a grandchild, it can be a nephew, niece, just someone that's really important to you. And you say goodbye. This is the last person you're saying goodbye before you're about to take your last breath. And the question you ask yourself is, what are the final words of advice you leave for that person? And whenever that is, for you, is your through line. It's the thing that drives you more than anything else. And for me, my through line, whenever I've gone through this exercise, it's simple. It's to leave it all on the field. And so for me, that's it. It's just, I know that we're impacting tens of thousands of entrepreneurs. I've got big numbers, big goals, people that I want to transform their lives. And that's the thing that's exciting to me. I want to be the best example I can be to my kids, to my two boys. And I want to know that at the end of my days, I've left it all in the field. There's literally nothing more that I could have given and just laid it all out.
Yeah, great. So we've called this thing Modern Entrepreneur. We're trying to identify what it is that's unique and interesting about this moment in kind of entrepreneurial history, right? Things have changed so fast. You've been a part of it now for a decade, and that feels like, like an eon in especially online business. What do you think it is that's unique about this moment? What are the unique opportunities that we have? What are the responsibilities that we have as entrepreneurs today?
Yeah, so let's take the opportunities first. So I look at the 10 years that I've been involved in this industry. When I came into this industry, you had to code your own website. Yeah. You had to use HTML and CSS to code. I still have Dreamweaver on my computer. I was from Dreamweaver. I mean, that's the extent of my HTML and CSS. Yep. The beautiful themes that you have, the landing page builders, the funnel building software, none of that existed. None of it existed at all. You had to code everything from scratch. And so where we've come is that instead of having to learn all those fundamentals, I think entrepreneurs now can really focus on their zone of genius. They can really focus on what their unique skills are and use the tools that are there, speaking specifically about building an online business. Yeah. Now, I think the responsibility is one of telling the truth. I think we live in a world now, I think we can all agree watching this right now, that we're just inundated with messaging that is just not true. Yeah. And with great power comes great responsibility. And I think as an entrepreneur, your moral compass needs to continually be pointed toward and asking yourself, is this the truth? Am I telling the truth? Is the data the truth? Am I leading people to the truth? And I think if you use that as your compass and you continue to focus on service, then you're doing everything you can do.
Ryan, thank you so much for being here.
Awesome, appreciate it. Likewise.
Will you sign our wall?
Totally.
Thank you.
Awesome.